as we will do a minute's silence for the passing of the Queen. But I think we'll do the apologies first. Mel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Apologies received from Councillors Mike Cole, Jeremy Cottam, Ellen Crumley, Paul Field and Jennifer Walker. And Councillor Owen Jeffrey is hoping to join us remotely.
That will have a lot to do with Owen grasping and getting beyond the technical issues that he sometimes addresses. Will we see him on here? Or?
Yes.
Okay, so you may see Owen in the background. However, since we last met, the Queen passed away. I wonder if you join me, please, in standing for a minute's silence. Thank you very much. Do we have any declarations of interest? Declared. Okay. And public questions? None, thank you. And then the minutes of the last meeting of the Town Council held on the 25th of July 2022. Might anybody propose those?
Propose, Chairman.
And seconded,
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Dunn, leader. Okay, all those in favour? Thank you very much. Those are signed off. Sign these, Mel, or in the book? In the book. Sign each page, I think. I'll pass that to you. And then, members, reports from the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor. I'll read out my report. It is in your pack. It's on screen in glorious Technicolor. I've attended 16 meetings since my last report. It's been a 2-month period, and what I've noticed is it goes a little bit more quiet in the August period as people are on holiday. So much as I wanted to go to gigs, that was as many as I was invited to or crowbarred myself into. Obviously, the passing of Her Majesty the Queen dominated recent weeks. I certainly hadn't anticipated being mayor for both the Jubilee celebrations and the death and passing of our monarch. There were preparations for a passing, of course, and I personally was delighted. I hope you, with how the staff clicked into gear and advised us on the way we needed to be during the mourning period, including black ribbons for the mayoral pendant. The book of condolence was quickly in place. The flag flew at half-mast very quickly and then was raised to full mast for 24 hours, and then I think it was back again. So it went up and down a lot, but again, we were on top of everything. We put together the proclamation event in about 36 hours, held on the Broadway Green. I know some of you were there, and I think that went very, very well. I thank the staff tremendously for very quickly putting that together. And I was thinking of things during the weekend and on WhatsApp saying, Georgina, why don't we do this? And shall we have Nimrod at the start? And suddenly it was there and available. And you know, it showed that we can do something rather good, rather quickly. So that was important. But also, apart from that, there were many enjoyable engagements throughout the period. Leading the Reading Pride March, it was the chain gang from across Berkshire with the banner, walking through the centre of Reading with other mayors, and that was good fun. And Reading's pretty much what Reading looks like, but it was very enjoyable. A lot of people in that parade. Helping launch nearly 5,000 ducks in the Rotary Duck Race at Woolhampton. Great fun, and there wasn't a lot of overtaking once they went in the water, though. You know, some of them needed to be turbocharged a bit. There was a number of important fundraising events as well, including the Mouse Fest. I don't know who got along to the Mouse Fest. 240 knitted mice at the St Mary's Church. It was a United Churches event, and all 240 found homes, I'm told. They were all sold, and I don't know if we got them on the screen, but there was a mare one as well. But it was a lady mare, tricorn hat. My granddaughter had to have her, so there she is, and that's the brownie for her as well. So that was good fun. I cut the first hair off Sarah Jones in the Broadway to help her raise money for cancer care. And the Macmillan Coffee Morning was held in here last Friday. You've never seen it so full. I don't know if we've got a picture of it right at the bottom here. Well, that doesn't quite show. It was teeming with people, wasn't it?
Yeah. In fact, I've got a picture with more people in it. So
well, you would have. I did say I've never seen the chamber so full. It was awash with cake. And I said, you know, but not quite as noisy as a normal council meeting. I said, there you go. So looking forward, we got the wonderful festival starting the 14th of October. It's only 2 weeks this Friday. We have certainly 9, possibly 10 of our legacy scenes completed. They're being framed at the moment, so they'll be displayed during the festival, but we still have about 9 scenes to allocate. So we're still looking for expert crafters to help us. Hinna, hint, hint, hinna, hint, hint. We'll get you a photograph of the completed one soon as well. But there you can see, we kept ourselves busy, didn't we, Deputy Mayor? And we look forward to a busy programme the next 3 months as we come through the festival and into the Christmas season. Any questions on my peregrinations and activities? Very good. Over to you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, yes, as the Mayor says, not so much going on during the summer, and I didn't have many mayoral duties really over the last 6 weeks, but those that I had were very interesting indeed. The first one was actually cutting a ribbon. I'd never done that before in my life. So that was really very interesting. There was a marketing individual on either end of that ribbon and just out of sight of the camera, and I had to cut it in half. But it was really good to visit Thornford Park Hospital. I'd never been there before, and although Councillor Jeffrey has told us many times of all the great work going on there, it was really good to see it for myself. Very welcoming management team there, and the new building, very impressive indeed, with the reception and various other rooms that have been built there. They're very welcoming and keen to work more closely with the local community. They already take part in some of our events, and they maintain some of the locks going along the canal. And I learned quite a lot about the activities that the staff and the patients, clients, I'm not quite sure what the appropriate word is, take part in. But I think any opportunity we have to work more closely with Thornford Park would be very much appreciated. As the Mayor said, we were all taken a little by surprise with events over the last few weeks, and I was very pleased to join other council members and of course the Mayor and Town Crier at the proclamation, and we did see a good turnout there, which we were very pleased about. And it was a unique and yeah, very poignant day, I think, for everybody. Yeah, it was unbelievable that how many people that coffee morning fitted into the chamber. I've never seen it that busy, but yeah, it was very good to see that too. And I stood in for the mayor yesterday at the One Community Cricket and Family Day at Falkland Cricket Club, which again very interesting. Community United are a fine local group bringing local groups together to provide cultural diversity through sport and artistic events. And it was a good event to be part of, and also had the opportunity there to catch up with Daisy's Dream, who are one of the mayor's charities this year, and sampled some very interesting food. Some of which I probably wouldn't go back to again, but other stuff was really very nice indeed. So not a lot to report there, but as you can see, quite a bit coming up in October. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and please don't tell us which food you liked and which food you didn't. But
No, I wouldn't.
Before I go on, I will also add that we open our dementia or sensory garden on the 13th of October. It'd be nice to see as many as possible. It is the 13th, I think. Yeah, brilliant. And that was held over because of the morning period. Okay, approval and adoption of committee minutes. I'd like somebody to wish to receive the RA minutes, please. Who goes forward? Councillor.
So proposed, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Does that find a second? Councillor, thank you very much. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Next one up is Planning and Highways Committee of the 30th of August 2022. As I propose. Thank you, Councillor Pike as chairman. A seconder from Councillor Lister. Thank you very much. All those in favour, please. Thank you very much indeed. The Events Committee, I think I will propose those myself as I chaired that meeting. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Boyd. And all those in favour of those minutes, that's very good indeed. Okay, so fire risk assessment workshop, we're being asked to consider approving additional funding. I wonder if council is likely to lead us on this, or shall we ask the clerk to introduce it?
Well,
Clerk to
introduce, I'll talk to it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so members may recall being asked to consider expenditure up to £10,000 for urgent works that were required at the workshop following a routine health and safety and fire risk assessment. Now that we have been able to obtain official quotes, the actual expenditure total has come in at 15,373. So a copy of the fire risk assessment was provided with your papers, just for information purposes. So I brought this before council to consider approving an additional £5,373 to proceed with those works that are required.
Thank you. Nobody wishes to speak unless.
I was going to wait and see if there are any other comments, Mr. Mayor. So, you know, we've already committed 10,000 and there's an extra request coming, although obviously only 1,000's been committed to date. What I'd like to propose from the floor, Mr. Mayor, is that that we accept that the total quote of 15,000 and we award expenditure to that, but also that we work with Hackspace, who's the tenant, to get them to agree to a 3-year lease. The commitment that we're making as a council is around £16,000 worth of investment. The contribution from Hackspace is around £4,000 a year. So if in a buyback period, I see this as making the space usable and it pays for itself after 4 years, which in buyback periods is normally quite a good return on investment. However, I'd like to be able to formalise the agreement with Hackspace around making sure they're committed to the building as well.
Thank you. Any Councillor Richard Crumley.
Well, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yes, this fire risk assessment, this plan? Can somebody tell me who actually one of the authority or health and safety, and at what cost, if any, for this council?
Yes, please, Madam Clerk.
The town council subscribes to a health and safety and employment professional through Peninsula Services. So this was commissioned as part of our health and safety support.
At what cost to the council, or is it free? I don't know.
Just need to check that. I need to check with the services manager on that one, just to be sure.
I think it is part of a bulk arrangement though, isn't it? It wouldn't be a cost just for this exercise. That would be for a number of inspections. Am I right? But we will, the clerk will come back to full council on the overall amount. Councillor Dillon, could you just make your proposal clear that are you approving the additional funding subject to?
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Mayor. So I propose the council commit to £15,373 of total expenditure to address the FRA, subject to Hackspace signing up to a 3-year lease. With a 6-month break clause for them would be acceptable. I think probably to all members as well. We don't want to overhold their hands to the fire, so to speak.
So, Madam Clerk, you're aware of that with me. I'm about to test that with members. You can manage within that in terms of satisfying the expectation of the fire risk assessment. Thank you very much. Does that find a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Lister. Any other speakers? Otherwise, I'm going to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you very much indeed. One's done, and we're on to number 8. Again, Madam Clerk, I'd like to introduce this one, and I'm sure the leader will pick it up thereafter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members will be familiar that some refurbishment works are due to take place at Thatcham Library with the installation of an accessible toilet and also relocation of the entrance door. The Town Council has agreed to 4 years of voluntary contributions towards the running costs of the library. The contribution for the financial year 21-22 was agreed subject to receiving proof that the works had been ordered. So we are still holding on to those funds at the moment as the work hasn't yet proceeded to appointing a contractor. The tender process has been undertaken by West Berkshire Council, and the quotes have come in at more money than was anticipated. They're just over 20,000 more than they were expected to be. So West Berkshire Council have requested the Town Council's commitment to this financial year's voluntary contribution, which is £24,480, and then they will commission the works. So that's the item that's on the agenda to consider committing to this financial year's voluntary contribution to the library.
And you've had a paper on this in your pack. Councillor Dillon, are you going to, again, looking to see if I've got Councillor Richard Crumley, Councillor Ada Walter, sort of, yes, thank you. I'll take Councillor Richard Crumley first.
So if I remember what I was going to say. Yes, I remember the background is we pay the 24,000 each year. I always thought we got very good value for that money in having a library that is being run. But look as though now we're trying to enter into a contract where we'll pay this if they do the work that's set out on the reverse. It's a footnote here setting out what they're going to do. Do we have any time scale in mind, or is this a game of cat and mouse with them waiting for us? I'd like to see a time scale so that we know when this work needs to be done. I think it's very important. It's been hanging around for little while, it'd be good to get the toilets and the work done ASAP, in my view.
West Berkshire Council officers have advised that at the moment, the contractor would be able to respond fairly swiftly upon instruction to proceed.
Councillor Arnold.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, members, we're all aware of the background of this and the historical, over several years, sort of request from the West Berkshire Council for a contribution to maintenance of this facility. I'm certainly very aware, and I trust we all are, that this library is hugely valued facility. This, I believe, this is by quite a way the second most visited library in the district, after the much bigger and more central Newbury Library. So I do hope we will do everything we can to help move this process forward. While of course it's uncomfortable for a district council to ask for contributions from member authorities such as ourselves, I think it is the right thing. And again, I do hope that we will agree to move this forward. Thank you.
Councillor Dillon.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It sort of feels as if Councillor Ardall maybe should have declared an interest there. It sort of felt that you were talking as a member of the executive of West Park. This is a policy of the administration of West Berkshire to ask for these voluntary contributions. Mr. Mayor, as the clerk rightly pointed out, we've made numerous contributions. We had an initial 3-year SLA that we signed up to, committing around £75,000 of local funds. We then had subsequent years where we have done it on an agreement basis of trying to derive value for the residents of Thatcham directly at Thatcham Library rather than contributing to the running of the whole service. I think what we've been given some third-party commercially sensitive information, and I obviously won't go into what it says, but what's interesting within the paperwork is actually West Berkshire Council say they have the funding in their capital programme for these works, that they will release that money from their library's capital budget to complete it. And that's what it says in here. It's then asking for us to give some revenue money to West Berkshire Council to fund their capital budget, which is a strange way, Mr. Mayor, of financing. We're aware that the capital programme at West Berkshire is something like £150 million. So actually, 20,000 from that budget to do what Councillor Ardall Waters said, which is, invest in the second most used library in the district.
Contribute to the running of rather than invest. So again, as you mentioned.
Well, contribute to the running too, Mr. Mayor. Sorry for you. So actually, I'm of the mind, Mr. Mayor, that West Berkshire Council have the funds in their capital budget, as their communication to us suggests, and actually asking for a revenue contribution halfway through a financial year is no way for us to be able to plan, to be able to deliver our own services to our own residents. So actually, I think on this occasion, I would be proposing that we don't make the additional revenue contribution, and we ask West Berkshire Council to utilise their capital budget where they clearly already have funding available for it. Thank you.
Seconded, Mr. Mayor.
That was a proposal, was it?
Yeah, it was.
So there is a proposal. I'll get the leader to repeat it. You seem to want to come back.
I'd like to, Mayor, but again, perhaps, Councillor Dillon, could you just restate the wording? I'd just like to get your words exactly right, please.
Through the chair, please.
Yeah, so sorry, Mr. Mayor, if you're calling on me. So yeah, thank you. Well, so it's that we say no to the request because they already have funding in their capital budget to be able to complete these works, as they've said in their communication. And actually, for us to give a revenue contribution halfway through a financial year, it would be an unusual state of affairs. So quite simply, politely say to West Berkshire Council, we won't be making any more contributions, and you can budget for it within your budgets.
That's the proposal. Councillor Richard Crumley.
Perhaps through you, Chairman, the clerk can tell us or tell me when we normally pay. As I understand it, we pay each year is 24,400 to in fact provide us with the library, which I think is extremely good value. If we have to take on and run the library ourselves, it would be an awful lot more. My impression from quick run through the paperwork is that we normally pay this 24,400, as I say, in April of each year, but we've been withholding it for this current year. Is that correct? When do we normally pay the money, just so I can have a full picture?
Councillor Crumley.
It usually is around about this time, about midway through the financial year, that we get the request each year.
Councillor Water.
Thank you, Mayor. So if I may just to respond through you to Councillor Dillon's phrasing, as we're all aware, there are two fairly distinct and unmixable sources of funding. There's capital money to do work such as improve libraries and install toilets. There's revenue money for keeping it going, for paying staff and heating and all the rest of it. The two cannot be mixed. And as we withheld our contribution for last year, as per the confidential memo, we have an invoice on hold, as Madam Clerk said, 21-22, which, as I recall, and please correct me through you, Mayor, to you, Madam Clerk, my recollection is that we withheld because of the issue of the request to renovate a toilet. Now that West Berkshire Council are coming back and saying, okay, we're ready to improve the toilet, to improve things for all members, it strikes me as unreasonable, to put it mildly, say, just a minute, now we're changing rules. We're not going to, we said we will withhold this revenue money until you did something about the toilet. Now you're doing something about the toilet when we're not going to do our revenue money. That's not good behaviour, regardless of what we're at and what we're doing. So really, now I'd strongly push back against my reading of what you said, Councillor Dunn. So once again, this is an important facility for the residents of Thatcham. It benefits local residents. It does, yes, benefit villages around us. But because of this, I think we should. We said we would contribute. We've given the reason we gave for withholding money a year ago was because of a toilet, which is now happening. Are we not reliable? Can we not stand by word and contribute that? We have money, let's do it.
Thank you. Have I got any other speakers before I go back to the proposal? Councillor Dillon, I think
thank you.
Maybe the last contribution.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you allowing me to come back again, Mr. Mayor, because Councillor Ardar-Water is wrong actually in what he's saying. This council said we would make a contribution if they did the works to the toilets, and we would pay that money once we saw completion of works or the works order in. Okay, that money is still on hold because we haven't seen that from West Berkshire. That is not asking. This request here tonight is not talking about that money, Councillor Ardar-Water. But the clerk makes a point that that money is still locked away until the conditions that we set for that particular grant have been met. And so absolutely, if the conditions of a grant are met, we should award the money. However, what this is asking for tonight is different, because it says, and Mr. Mayor, I am going to read from the confidential note because I don't believe this part of it is in confidence.
It does say it's commercially sensitive, so I think you've got to be careful.
Could I take an adjournment and take some advice from the Madam Clerk?
I think I'm more likely to suggest we go into part two for the next 10 minutes. I don't know if members would support that. I think there's commercially sensitive information for Hina and our Mr. Hart. That would mean leaving, but I've got to get that agreed. So do I have a proposal to go into part two?
I propose that.
Seconded. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take a vote on that now. All those in favour? Thank you very much. And we may only be 10 minutes, so please don't feel that the meeting's over. Grateful to you both. Do close the door so that you can't, hold on. Okay, I think that's the best. So now you can speak unencumbered. Councillor.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, are we switching off the streaming recording?
So we'll take ourselves off Zoom in case there were any on that. Councillor Dillon, for the avoidance of doubt, please tell us what you're asking the council to vote for.
So in respect of item 8 on the agenda, Mr. Mayor, the West Berkshire Council asked us to consider a request to make a voluntary contribution towards the running costs of the library whilst linking it to capital works, and I propose that we don't make that contribution.
Let's find a second.
Seconded, Mr. Mayor.
I am going to put it to vote. We've had a long debate, not clearly two different sides to this. All those in favour of that proposal? And against? Did you record the numbers on that?
You wish it to be recorded, correct?
No, I think you can say we should have known whether it was recorded vote before we took the vote. Anyway, that is carried.
Sorry, you can call for
No,
abstentions, Mr. Mayor.
My abstain.
Was there Councillor Cottam abstained because he didn't listen to all of the debate, and that can be recorded as well. I'm grateful to you, members, and I will move on to maturing investments. Madam Clerk, do you want to use this? Thank you.
At the last meeting, Councillor Cole introduced an item. We had a couple of investment accounts that were due to mature, and the investment working party had been looking at these and had made a recommendation to FDP that there be some of the money withdrawn from one of the accounts and added to the other one because the other account had a higher interest rate at the time. After that was agreed at full council, we went to do that transaction, but during that time, the interest rate nationwide had subsequently increased and was now slightly more than Close Brothers, which is where we were going to invest into. So after consultation with Councillor Cole, it was agreed that to leave the monies in the accounts where they were and to reinvest them both for 12 months. So just to seek ratification on that decision, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Dunn.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and sympathy for you chasing the interest rates, Madam Clerk, but obviously in the last couple of days the markets have taken a tumble, the pound's fallen, and we are seeing reports of the Bank of England potentially increasing interest rates again imminently. Now, we're always going to be in this game of cat and mouse, chasing the rate, and I'm wondering if it's just worth going back to Councillor Cole again and looking at maybe a delegated way that we can action this to get the greater benefit at the quickest time. It feels a bit, you know, if tomorrow suddenly the rates are at 4% with one of our other investment vehicles, well, we've just instructed the clerk tonight to go invest on 2%. So, I mean, I really think there's something about a dynamic treasury management policy at the moment, Mr. Mayor, and I made the same part exec a couple of weeks ago. You know, we really need to be on our toes with it. So maybe through you, Mr. Mayor, to Madam Clerk, is what delegated powers could council maybe give to yourself and to Councillor Cole to be able to agree by telephone call almost that that's a good rate and we're going to make that investment of that fund? Do we have to give you an envelope to work within, or is it a rewrite of our treasury management and investment policy? Grateful for advice before I propose a motion, Mr. Mayor.
How do you feel, Madam Clerk?
I think the treasury management policy is reviewed annually. So I think that it certainly is the best way to amend that going forward.
But I think what Councillor Dillon is saying is if we were to look at this again, if we were to say we wanted to do something else because Close Brothers was superseded by a better offer, could we do that outside of a full council or an FMGP meeting? That dynamism that the leader is trying to get us into, by myself with you, Chairman of FMGP, agreeing. Now, if you find that irregular, I'm fine about it. I don't want to do anything that you're not comfortable with, but clearly we want to be nimble at this time when we're reading every day the bank.
Apologies if I haven't been clear, but the money has now been reinvested in both accounts for 12 months. So we can't do anything on these two accounts, but we have more, we have 4 investment accounts, so there will be more maturing shortly. And as long as the Treasury management policy is adopted by council, I'm absolutely happy that it's delegated to specified councillors to agree a more dynamic way going forward to be able to respond.
Yeah, thank you for that advice, Madam Clerk. So if we could put it, if we could bring the Treasury management policy to next F&GP, whether it's due a review or not, and then we can make an additional change to
Very
it.
good way
And so
forward.
then I would propose we endorse the action.
Yes, I think we're do I have a seconder for us endorsing? Thank you, councillors. So I'll put that to the vote first. All those in favour of the action on the paper? And then I'm not sure I need a vote to bring the Treasury management policy to the next F&GP. You okay with that?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, good. All right. Make it nice. The next one is the Central External SAAA Central External Auditor Appointment Arrangements. Again, Madam Clerk, there is a paper on this, number 10. Looking for your advice and guidance, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the SAAA appoints the external auditor for local councils. And they're coming to what the last financial year was the end of the current agreement. They are looking now to appoint external auditors for the next 5 years, starting with this financial year. As part of that process, councils are given the option to opt out. They don't have to be part of that sort of wider contract. So this is the opportunity that they are presenting at the moment. There is quite a bit of work that the Town Council would need to undertake if we did opt out, and it is summarised on the back of the SAAA's correspondence there. I don't know of any councils that have opted out, and from my experience with us always being within this bulk partnership approach, I've no reason to recommend to council that we do opt out. So I think if council is happy to proceed as we have done for previous years, I no reason to advise council to.
Councillor Jeremy.
Yes, basically, funny enough, I've just come from a governance and ethics meeting discussing risks and audits of bodies and such. And I would say, I think we need to be seen to be part of this body for clarity and for transparency that we are doing the right thing. So I would actually recommend, from the point of view of being vice chairman at another place, that we continue as part of this body.
Are we part of this body? We are.
We fall under the terms of this external audit arrangement, yes.
Right. Councillor Richard Crumley.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, paragraph 10 to me says it all. The final line says recommend the Town Council does not pursue the opportunity to opt out. I read through the paper front and back, and it seems to say as clearly as possible that there's really nothing for us in opting out, and therefore my proposal is that we proceed as recommended by paragraph 10 of the agenda.
We're going to propose that, I think, Councillor.
I was going to second it because I think Councillor Cotton made the proposal, but yeah, those two can propose and second. It's good.
Councillor propose what? But I'm going to put it to the vote.
That was my intention.
I'm sure that the clerk will work out who she thinks.
We all want the credit, obviously.
All those in favour, please. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, for that. I then got number 11, reports from town councillors and West Berkshire District Council on council surgeries. The first one was the dynamic duo councillors Rice and Woodhams, present at the council surgery in Broadway on the 6th of August 2022, and you have the incidents here. I don't know if councillors Woodhams and Rice would add anything to that. 6th of August.
I have nothing to add. Sorry, add. It was very old at the time, obviously.
Very good. Are there any updates on any of those incidents? Okay. Councillor Richard Crumley.
Yes, thank you. The incident parking disputes Thatcham Broadway. This is an old one that came up. I say old one. It's come up before when I was on the surgery. There's this problem with the shop owner just across the other side of the Broadway where we were standing when the surgery was taking place. It seemed to me there's two parties at loggerheads here, and it seems to me to be unreasonable for taxi drivers having to accept opposing drivers dropping off goods for a very short time. The shop's got to have goods and stuff coming in, and somebody stopping for a short time to unload. Seems to me that that should be tolerated. That's what I thought I said at the time. And I repeat that now. I hope something can be sorted out.
Okay.
I'd just like to give an update on the issue log burners, because that's so that was reported. It's subsequently come to me as well as a ward councillor. It has been established that the cause of any problem is not a log burner, because the PPP has been involved and they've confirmed that any log burners are not in use at the moment.
With the PPP?
Public Protection Partnership. Yeah. And I have investigated and not yet been able to detect any smell myself in the neighbourhood. But that's ongoing still.
Okay, so Councillor Pike, you're probably talking about Barfield Road.
Yes.
You are certainly following in my footsteps, who might have been following in Councillor Bruce's footsteps, and we have not equally. We've been around a number of times.
Yeah.
It remains a bit of a mystery. You're in the loop as well, are you?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, that particular resident is going around the council. It will get to you in some time. Go around and have a sniff and see if you can smell any smoke. And when you can, we'll be making progress. Thank you. We then have a surgery on the 3rd of September. Have we got anything in here? Okay, so.
Sorry, it was just a comment on the report in general, Mr. Mayor, which
Yes.
is some of the deadlines, Madam Clerk, seem to be before the event. So if you look on the last or the penultimate page, sorry, we've got closed on the 10th of August, deadline 1st of December, deadline, as if your deadline might have reset itself somehow.
Yes.
I think it's auto working
Yes.
something else.
That's a good point.
Not in the right format.
Okay, so I think we're done with surgeries. Councillor Wilcox.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Just a quick one on the Bradley Square surgery. It was the proposal from the Community Engagement Working Party that we start to do more of these in other areas other than the Broadway. Just through the chair, I wondered whether you felt that was a successful location for surgery.
No, we didn't have the board, so people thought that we were like mystery shopping them or trying to sign them up for insurance or something like that. We have tried them before in different areas across the town over the years, haven't we? And obviously you're doing online ones as well now. But yeah, again, it's about getting away from the Thatcham Broadway. So I completely agree, because if you're only there 10 till 12, you know, you'll only ever see people who go into the village 10 till 12 every Saturday. You know, people are creatures of habits on weekend, aren't they? And that's why I think it's important that we still get out and about. But yeah, this particular one, not a great success.
Okay, sorry to hear that.
Okay. 11B is reports from West Berkshire District Councillors. It's not compulsory, but we do have more than one in the room. Councillor Walden.
Thank you, Mayor. So inevitably a number of issues are ongoing as ever. One I'd like to draw to this council's attention is just a reminder on the dedicated food waste collection, which publicity has been sent out and will be started from the end of October. So coming up quite soon. I've not yet had caddy for my house. I don't know if any members here have. You have, Christine. I've seen a couple of letters in the Newbury Weekly News from people grumbling about this and saying, what a waste of money and where's that effect? And I'd ask you as members, if you're approached by any residents, to remind people that actually this is financially a very good thing to do, as well as environmentally a very good thing to do. So the quick background is that, firstly, in terms of service, people will have food waste, nasty smelly food waste disposed of weekly, rather than having to wait fortnightly, as is at present. From the council and us as council taxpayers' perspective, we will save a lot of money on both the transportation of that lots and lots of food waste to places like Southampton or near Heathrow Airport, and then the incineration fees for energy recovery from it. So instead of doing that, it's going to be composite at Padworth. So if anybody grumbles, please do reassure them that it's financially good for us all and environmentally good. The other thing, very briefly, and this is not yet finalised, I and the officers are considering reworking the rather legendary orcas, which form a large part of the cycleway along the middle of the A4. The challenge with these has been that, well, twofold. The wands, which, as we all know, are rather dirty and hard to see, particularly in low light, are very difficult to clean, and the manufacturer has not been very helpful at all in suggesting an improvement or so forth. And the orca blocks themselves are also they're hard to clean, and there have been instances where lorries, particularly at the fast end coming in from Colthrop, clip them. So what is likely to happen is we will remove those and replace at least some of the section with a rumble strip, such as is found on the edges of motorways, which I think is a good compromise. As a cyclist, I like the orcas because I feel more protected than just a white line. I do take the point that cleaning and maintenance is important. So again, you'll see things develop in due course. That's likely to happen with the A4 cycleway. Thank you.
Before I ask other district councillors, and thank you for what you've done in terms of the food caddies, you may not recall, perhaps you do, some years ago we did get a food caddy.
We did. I remember.
And people can remember it. It was a bit flimsy, and it sort of fell by the wayside. Why is it going to be better this time?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And again, very good question. I do remember those two. The catch of several years ago was that those caddies were not collected any more frequently than normal waste. We collected them in our kitchen, we put them in a nice biodegradable bag, and maybe put them in the green waste, the garden waste bin. But obviously the hassle of doing that and really the fact that food still turned up smelly didn't really encourage people to change their habit. This time there's going to be a weekly collection, as well as having two caddies, the small kitchen thing, which of course is entirely optional. More importantly, I think the medium-sized caddy, which will live outside, and again, you can put it out every week with either your green or black wing. So the collection is hopefully, and I'd hope also with rising awareness of things like this, and maybe a touch of peer pressure would encourage more people to take part. The more people who change their habits and get food waste out of black bins, the better for us all.
Question through you. Could you clarify if the food waste is treated any differently from what is in the green waste? You said it was composted at Padworth. Is it treated differently? If not, is it just as good to leave if it's easier to put it in the green bin, as long as it's green and not black?
For you, Mr. Chair, if I may. So firstly, it is treated together with the green waste, and indeed it's an essential component of the mix system. So what happens is both wet, rather, as we can imagine, wet decaying composting food is mixed with much drier grass or branches, and the composition of the two encourages the best process for in-vessel composting. So it will be treated the same. You can carry on using your green waste bin if you so wish, but I would again ask members to encourage residents to use the new food service.
Thank you for that. And presumably you're on a public awareness campaign to these questions you're getting here, you're covering off so people do understand what bin they can put it in, what they... As I get older, it gets harder though to take a green bin down, 2 green boxes, a green sack, and now a green caddy. You know, my driveway is not getting any easier as I get older. But you may want to come back one more time. You okay?
Very good point. Communications is.
Councillor Cotton.
He's looking for a follow. Right, well, I think there's something which may be interested to the people of Thatcham that I believe the executive member involved are going to be doing a landscape survey of the area of not only including Thatcham and the rest of West Berkshire. They are spending £100,000 on this, so they obviously think this is very, very important. All I'm saying is that is this, as I've not been really informed, and I don't think my fellow councillor in North East Thatcham has either, what this is about and what is the intention, and will it affect the number of houses that we are talking about in 2,500 houses in the North East of Thatcham. I think we've been poorly informed, certainly as a town council and as a district council.
Okay, that's a statement. The member of the executive who's actually here as a town councillor is not obliged to respond and is not looking like he wants to. So I'll look for other district councillors. Councillor Leedon.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just a couple of things to Councillor Ardile-Waters. One, if you've seen the caddies being put out, I've seen 2 roads where the caddy was put in the middle of every resident's driveway at the front of the drive. So every resident had to stop their car, get out, move the caddy, and then move their car on the driveway. So something there. And actually that does lead to that, you know, the mayor's tongue-in-cheek comment about, you know, lots of bags and bins. But actually, you know, we need to get better at how do we, as a council, provide that recycling service so it's the best experience for the residents, because that's what I think will ultimately help drive up the rates, rather than taking up, you know, half of your patio, you know, with lots of different containers. And, you know, when you add the flats into that and you think about how do you store all of that, you know, it becomes a bigger issue. But absolutely, we will encourage people to use them. And I will remind my mother, who said, "Oh, that's a nice new bucket for the car wash." So I will make sure that, as a constituent of mine, she is re-educated on the need to use it. And I just wanted to come back on the Orcas as well, if I may. Just I think Councillor Lister's probably far too polite to say "I told you so." But he absolutely did tell West Berkshire so that style and design was not going to work. So I'm glad that West Berkshire are listening. If they'd done it right the first time, they probably would have saved some money for taxpayers, but that's good that we're getting there. But also it'd be good if they came and spoke to the town council before making their final decision on what solution to put in. You know, it's the Thatcham residents who will be using that cycle route, and I think we've got some keen cyclists on planning and highways as well, who can probably give some first-hand knowledge of what's suitable for cyclists. And then, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to touch on one question that was raised at West Berkshire Executive last week. It was a public question, I believe, but in it, Councillor Richard Somner alluded that the local plan would be put up for Regulation 19 decision in December. Now, he didn't allude to it being the scheduled meeting in December at the beginning, so I suspect there may be a special meeting coming. But I'm sure the residents of Thatcham will want to know that key decision, that Regulation 19 decision, which, you know, is that formal sending it off to the inspector to deliver these 2,500 homes for Thatcham. I think residents will want to know that decision is going to take place. And I would encourage them to turn up to the meeting and hear that Regulation 19 debate when it comes. But that's, I think, the first public announcement we've had that it's going to be in December. So I thought I would share that with members.
Thank you, and that will come around very, very quickly, of course, won't it? Thank you, members. District Council reports, quite lively. At 7:20, I thought we might be finished by 7:30, but it's nice to be the other side of 8 o'clock, and the football will have to wait. So finally come on then to item 11C, reports by town council appointees to outside bodies. Thatcham Welfare and Support Society Councillor Lord, Cottam, anything to report on that?
Yes, we haven't really met in person, but there's been a lot of emails with requests for help from the charity and with are being granted. So either the name or there's been a bit more publicity. It seems to be working.
Oh, good, good. That's good to hear. And then we haven't got council.
Sorry, could I ask a question to Councillor Cottam through you? I mean, how is your funding there? And are you seeing, in terms of requests, are you seeing it from a wider demographic of the town, or is it a particular demographic that's asked, that's coming more? It'd be interesting to find out the scale behind those requests.
The health service providers that are like health visitors and that sort of thing.
OT and referrals that way.
Yeah, I think that's where it's coming mainly.
And you have a report on the Relief in Need charity? Yeah, thank you.
Just a note from Councillor Cole. Parochial charities are about to fill the vacancy in one of the almshouses and continue to make donations through Thatcham Relief in Need, especially to people with mental and medical issues who have needs not covered by support available.
Noted. Very good. Then I think at 8:05, done. Thank you very much.